Janet Morana, Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our program. Well, we hear so much in the news these days about abortion is healthcare for women. It's good for women, women. Abortion. And the other side, they want to kill babies till birth. How can that be good for a woman? No, because you know what it is? We're pitting a mother against her own child. All right? It's a mother destroying the life of her child. That's what this is about. So you know what? Enough with the political rhetoric. Let's listen to the real experience. And joining me today is a woman who can speak to an abortion experience. And also we're going to give you some action items you can do to help fight that Amendment 4 in Florida. So joining me today is Tawana Amon, and she is with Broward County Right to Life. Welcome to the program, Tawana.
Hi, Janet. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share.
Great to have you. And of course, let's go back because you did have your abortion here in Florida, Hollywood, yes. Florida. Mm-hmm. But tell us the circumstances that happened that got you to that abortion clinic.
You know, I was 12 when I got invited to a Bible study and I heard the message that Jesus died for me. And I was actually really going to church and really following him. And then a couple of years later, I have a ministry called Guard Your Heart, all about breaking cycles of unhealthy relationships, because that's what I got into, a cycle of very toxic and unhealthy relationships. So I drifted away from the Lord. And in that process, I was 18 and I was in this unhealthy relationship for about 6 months. And I found out I was pregnant. And what was amazing about my experience is that so many individuals I counsel, they're not ready. It's not the right time. I embraced that pregnancy. I was so excited about being a mother. It was 1980, so I was totally unaware about abortion, what it was, what it meant. Really, I was disconnected. I was out partying. I was hanging out with my friends all the time. So there was just this wiring. We're maternal women. We're maternal. We're mothers. And that was the initial reaction was, I'm going to have a baby. So I was so excited about the news, and I went to a good friend of mine and we did the happy dance and we were crying tears of joy. And it was just so wonderful. I mean, I remember it being one of the happiest days of my life. And so I went and I thought, who could I tell? You know, I got the list, right? People close to you. And the next individual I thought about telling, I really didn't know her position on abortion. I didn't even think about it. I just knew I had gone to her to ask advice. I had talked to her about things I was going through, and she was always pretty wise. So I wasn't thinking, was she pro-life or is she pro-abortion? Is she going to give me the right counsel? So when I went to her, I just was so excited. I said, I'm pregnant. I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to be a mom. And she literally looked at me like, what are you thinking? I mean, I was taken aback because her reaction was so opposite of how I was feeling. So she was just, I'm going to give you a dose of reality. You are not ready for this. And she even told me things like I wouldn't be a good mother. And I'm, kind of like an unfit because I was immature and I was out partying and just the brainwashing. And then she started getting into this. It's really just a mass of cells and a blob of tissue. And it's an easy procedure. It's like pulling a tooth and there's nothing to it. But what I think really resonated. I mean, everybody's different. I mean, it was a whole combination of things, but one of the things was how toxic my relationship was. I knew it wasn't good. And she said, now think about this. You're going to be connected to him for the rest of your life. And I thought, I don't want to be connected to him for the rest of my life. The thought of that even scared me. But it was really hard because I was struggling with it. I didn't want to have it. And she really did say, I'm taking you in the morning. I mean, I didn't feel like I had another option. I didn't get any other information. I was scared. I was crying. When I went into the abortion facility, I remember struggling to go in, and she kept going, you're just going to have to do this. You're just going to have to do it. And I was just, I don't want to go. I don't think I'm ready.
Dawn, I just want to ask for a minute.
Sure.
The boyfriend, the toxic relationship, Did you ever tell him you were pregnant, or had you already broken off that relationship?
No, I ended up staying with him for another several years, sadly, because of my own insecurities and inferiority issues. But
So did he know about the
he
pregnancy?
did. And he actually really didn't oppose it. He left it up to me when I
Yeah, but
called
you
him and
see,
told him.
that's an important point right there, because too many men do that. They think they're helping
Right.
by taking a back seat. Well, whatever you decide. And you think about it, even though your relationship with him was not that great, and you said you stayed for a few more years, but what if he had said, "Oh, that's good news. I'll help you raise this baby." It might have turned out different, but he kind of backed off, and then your friend was like the cheerleader for abortion.
Right. That's right.
So you kind of got pigeonholed into,
That's
I
right.
guess I got to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree. And I think the statistics working in the ministry like I have for as long is that almost half of the individuals that have abortions say that they didn't feel like they got an option, that they were pressured by a boyfriend, that they were threatened that the boyfriend would break up with them if they didn't have the abortion. We see that all the time. So, but I think, like you said, the support, I mean, I know that God had me go through what I did to bring me to where I am in ministry. So I'm confident that I'm where I belong, and this is my calling.
Right.
But I
know
let's
go back though to the abortion clinic, because as you know, we're in Florida, where they're trying to enshrine abortion till birth in our Constitution. And we're going to be fighting this Amendment 4. You had your abortion in Hollywood, Florida at an abortion clinic, because they're touting it like, oh, this is the best thing. The healthcare is wonderful. Tell us what it was like in that abortion clinic.
I have to say that one of the things that I think is amazing about my story is that I can talk about it because I am healed. I can talk about it because I know that I've been forgiven by Christ. I know that his love, he died on the cross for my sins. He died for everything I've done, including the abortion. It was harder for me to forgive myself. That was the struggle I had more than anything, and forgive the person that forced me to go. That was another major issue. But when I got into the abortion facility, the woman that was having me sign the release form couldn't have been older than 18. I mean, she was so young. And I actually have the release form in front of me because I went back and got the file. But what was amazing was I was crying. I mean, I was scared. I mean, I didn't know what to expect, right? I didn't even want to get my teeth pulled. So I'm one that doesn't like to, I go to the doctor when I have to, but who wants to have surgery? I knew that it was a serious thing. In my heart, I knew, but I was being pushed into it. And the woman, when I was crying, I mean, I look back and I think to myself, if I had a woman sitting in front of me telling me that she's afraid and she's crying and she looks unstable, would I have her go forward with that procedure? Would I have her make that decision? No, I wouldn't. So I look at it, and what she said to me was, she grabbed me by the arm. She just kind of patted me on the arm, and she said, "It'll be over soon." There's nothing to it.
Right.
It's a quick, simple procedure.
Okay. So she has you sign the release. But when you think about it, Tawana, in what surgical procedure that you go to, do you just sign a release?
That's right.
And there's no medical history taken, no pre-admission testing done. They knew zero about your health history. Sign here saying, okay, to do the abortion, and that's it. I mean, that's so bizarre. That's not healthcare.
That's right.
Think of a doctor, any doctor you go to, if he tells you you're going to have a surgical procedure, well, boy, oh boy. First of all, he tells you about the procedure. Then he makes an appointment for you to go to the hospital a week before, where you do pre-admission testing, usually blood tests, urine. You talk to an anesthesiologist.
Yes. Especially surgery.
In the hospital. Here, you're about to go in and have your baby destroyed, and just sign on the dotted line. So, okay, you signed the slip. She took you by the arm. Okay, it's going to be fine. 18-year-old kid. And then what happened next?
Well, I remember resisting even when they put me under, because I had a surgical. So I was really, they had to give me another dose of sodium pentothal because I was just so afraid and I didn't want to fall asleep. And then I remember waking up. I remember feeling sick. I remember but what was sad was, and now I look back and realize what it was, because now I see how all the women were lined up after their abortions. And you could see just one cot right after the other. Now, I, coming out of surgery, totally unaware of what had just happened, just no doctor, no abortionist, we call them abortionists, they're not doctors, abortionists. And there wasn't anybody explaining anything to me, discussing anything with me. And I think that's what you're talking about, is women have a right to know. Women, this is not healthcare. Keeping women into the dark is not empowerment for women. This is the worst thing for women. Women need to be given the truth and let them make their own decision. And of course, this is a life or death decision. And that's why for us, as you know, we don't believe in abortion in any case, because we know it's a life. And no matter what the circumstances, we can help you through those circumstances and situations so that you can keep that unborn child. But I remember just walking out very stoic, very numb. But I have to say, when you get brainwashed, you get to a point where you think that you did the right thing. And that's kind of how I felt for a couple of years. As they say in some of the studies, that women go through like 6 years, 7 years of denial, and then they kind of snap out of it. Either they can't get pregnant, or they get pregnant and go through the pregnancy and realize what they've lost. And I think that's what happened to me. How I came out of denial was an experience like that.
Well, and so to think about your experience, tell me, what surgical procedure do you have in the United States of America where you never saw the doctor, you don't know his name? Brothers and sisters, isn't this wrong?
It's like malpractice.
How do we sell this as good for women?
It's insane.
They're not even meeting the doctor. And some women that aren't put to sleep, that are awake, they'll tell you they only met the doctor when they were already undressed on the table, feet in stirrups, and he didn't even talk to them. He came in, aborted their child, and walked out without looking at them or saying one word to them.
It wasn't. I mean,
I think not healthcare, right, Tawana?
Yeah. I mean, I remember when my mother was having her cardiac catheter, and the PCP came in, the primary care physician made it sound like it was such a simple procedure. There was nothing to it. And then the night before the procedure, the surgeon comes in and starts going into detail about, well, we have to explain that there is a risk. There are, out of several thousands, there are complications. Some people actually die. And when the surgeon was done, what the PCP had made sound was like nothing, procedure that happens every day, the surgeon came in and made you aware that the risk, even if it's one, it's the risk. And that makes you realize that you don't want to be that one. And I think that's the impact of telling women the truth, because there's going to be some that, I mean, we're out there in front of the abortion facilities every week. We have teams at different locations, and we've had many cases where we're able to reach out, and those women, we've walked them through their pregnancies. We've helped women keep their babies, and then we've said everything we possibly can. But I know that one of the wonderful things I feel about that, if they go in anyway, is that it took me time to get snapped out of denial. She just got all the information, and she's going to have to deal with the truth. She didn't know anything before she went in, and now she knows everything. Well, and that's going to be a hard truth to
Tawana,
deal with.
When you described after the abortion, they took you into a room and there was cots lined up, right? You guys looked like a pieces of meat laying on cots, right?
Yes.
So again, let's talk about good medical practice, right? Any procedure you have in a hospital, in and out same day, which is what abortion is. Only abortion is in and out in an hour or so.
Yeah.
What happens when you come to and you're awake enough? The doctor usually comes and talks to you and tells you how the procedure went. And then you usually get a prescription for antibiotics and a little pain meds in case, based on the procedure. And oh my gosh, a follow-up appointment, maybe 2 weeks later, to see the doctor again, right?
Right.
Does any of that happen in the abortion clinic for you?
And
Wow.
I think what's incredible is that the mentality that women have about abortion, that there's this idea that you just want to go in and get it over with and you don't care what kind of experience you have or what kind of circumstances surround it. I mean, when I was on birth control years before I got married and broke free of the unhealthy relationship and everything, I went into an abortion clinic without knowing it was an abortion facility. Okay. I did not know. I just saw that in the phone book, I could go and get a yearly exam. And so I went in there. It's the place we stand in front of now, which is so ironic. God is amazing in this cycle, how it goes. But I actually was told that I was pregnant. I mean, I'm serious. I was told that I was pregnant. And you know what I said? I said, I can't be. They were like, well, I'll take another test. So they took another test and said again. And I said, it must be, I mean, it's impossible. I'm not having a sexual relationship. And I just walked out of there and I thought, I mean, I didn't put two and two together because this was in my mid-20s, didn't understand anything that was going on. But I look back and I think, oh my word, they were giving women, which, you know, Carol Everett and others have said, it's not uncommon. Abortionists do stuff like this, but it happened to me. I know it's true.
Yeah. I mean, the lies just go on and on and on. And that's why I just want to switch gears for a minute.
Sure.
Why? And I know you're going to help us fight vigorously, say no to number 4.
Yes.
This horrible amendment. And I have to get out my sign for us.
Yes.
Here we go. Vote no on 4. There we go.
Yes.
Because this is terrible. Because what they're going to do is here in Florida, we have good protections here. We have parental notification and parental consent. We've had on our books for years. We have, of course, just recently in May, the heartbeat bill went into effect. And how did that happen? It wasn't Governor DeSantis with a magic wand. It was our state legislature, people elected by the people, gave these good protections. And now the pro-aborts from outside of Florida are stirring up into Florida and want to enshrine in our Constitution abortion till birth, which will wipe out all the good protections, right? So we have to tell everyone, right?
That's right.
Vote no on 4. Vote no on 4.
One of the things that we're thinking about in one of our media campaigns with our organization, Broad Right to Life, is really having a landing page and information so that these points of women's right to know. I mean, I was one of the speakers, one of the spokespeople for the Women's Right to Know bill that happened when it happened in Florida in 1996. Senator Bob Brooks was bringing forth the bill, and it wasn't required. You didn't have to give women information. And so what happened was we got pregnant after we got married, shortly after we got married, and I married the president of Broad Right to Life. And 22 weeks into our pregnancy, lost the baby. Tragic. I mean, just live birth. You know, he's buried at Hollywood Memorial Gardens. And we named him David Nathan. And I was just, devastation is just, I was devastated when I found out how children are killed during an abortion procedure. That just, I just wanted to pull my covers over my head. And I just didn't want to eat. I didn't want to sleep. It was just, there's so many layers of what abortion does to a woman. But what happened in the course of me going through the process of the healing after losing David Nathan was my husband, John, was saying women have premature births if they've had abortions and things like that. And so I didn't know, I hadn't made the connection to the abortion. So I was really praying about it and asking for guidance, because you don't know what's going on. And in the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, it said you could have problems in future pregnancies if you've had a prior abortion. That was actually in the book after 20 weeks. So that's what prompted me to go back and get the file. That's what prompted me to go, is this what happened to me? And then we met with a high-risk OBGYN that actually said that I was injured from the abortion procedure, and that was the connection to the loss of David Nathan. And we never went on to have children. And at that time, with the Woman's Right to Know bill, Michelle Herzog, who was working closely with us in Broward County at the time, she was like the only person I had told about what I was going through with getting my file and finding out. He actually, the abortionist, said, I've given her all the information, the method of the operative procedure, the risks. I counseled her regarding psychological effects. And then on the release form, it says, I've been explained, and I'm fully aware that I may be sterile as a result of this procedure. I understand that I will be incapable of becoming a parent, and in giving consent to this operation, I have in mind the probability or possibility of such a result. And that's what brought me into this kind of righteous indignation, this kind of anger, this kind of, you're lying to us. The deceit is just too much. We shouldn't stand back. We shouldn't step back. And that was when Michelle Herzog called me the day of the press conference for the Woman's Right to Know bill and told me that she couldn't go. She's had 5 abortions and gone on to have 5 children. And she said, you need to be there. And I said, my family, I'm a Sunday school teacher. She goes, Tawana, God didn't put this file into your hands for no reason. You know the truth. The Woman's Right to Know bill, you've told me over and over again, you'd never have it if you had known the truth. And sterility, I mean, if he had explained what could happen, just the thought of me going, I would.
But, Tawana, you just read me, that's the release form, but they never told you that stuff. It's a lie.
That's right.
He puts it in a form in your record, but he never went over that. You don't even know his name. You hadn't met him. So how could he say he told you all these things when you never met him? You were already knocked out. This is so criminal.
It's terrible. It really.
But that's why we really have to, with this vote no on 4 here in Florida, is so important.
Yes, because women.
Because you know why? This constitutional amendment, it doesn't define even a doctor. It's health provider, which, as we know, is broad. So basically, this amendment will say no doctors, no parent involvement, no viability, no limit, right? And no description.
No information, no sonograms,
nothing, nada.
Nothing. No reporting requirements. I mean, everything's
have to wake up. We have to wake them up to want to allow cry to say, vote no on 4, vote no on 4. So, I mean,
when I talked to people, there were several individuals collecting signatures during that time, as you know, trying to get to the 1 million mark. And I approached numerous ones. And obviously they did not, just like the doctors, they don't go into any detail. They've got their little clipboard with pro-abortion, come sign the form. And I would intercede and I would say, wait a minute, up until viability, that's 24 weeks. And there'd be people that would be like, they'd cringe because they don't know. And then I'd say health of the mother is for any reason, age, familial, relationship. So what you're saying is, do you agree with abortion up until birth? And I got many people. I mean, some of the petitioners would get upset at me because people would walk away. But education, information is what, open the eyes of the blind.
Right.
They need to see.
So, Anna, before we go, just tell our people your website where they can be in touch back with you. And I'm sure your Broward County Right to Life, you're going to have information they can get about vote no on 4. So tell them your website.
Sure. It's browardrighttolife.org. That's browardrighttolife.org. And they can reach me at 954-563-LIFE, 954-563-5433. So they can reach me that way. And, we're going to be ramping up our efforts. We're going to start getting more mobilized. So in the next several weeks, I hope people will reach out because we want to get a team together. We need an army. We trust that we're going to have the victory. We believe we're going to have the victory.
That's right. Well,
Amen.
thank you for joining me, and thank you for the witness you give, and
Aw.
keep waving that that report from the abortion clinic around, because that is full of lies, and we have to show the lies. That's what we have to do.
Well, Janet, thanks so much for having me. God bless you.
Okay.
It was a wonderful opportunity.
God bless.
You too. Thank you.
Okay. Well, brothers and sisters, I hope you learned a lot. And you may not live in Florida, but maybe you know someone who does. Your homework assignment is tell them to vote no on 4. Here's my little sign to remind you, vote no on 4. We need as many people as possible to tell as many people as you know. So Floridians, wake up. Save the baby and save the mother too. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, this is Janet Marana, Executive Director of Priests for Life. God bless.
Where does this love begin? In our own family, in our own home. How does it begin? By praying together. Family that prays together stays together. And if you stay together, you will love one another as God loves each one of you. Today, in the world, there's so much suffering because of that want of prayer, of unity in the family. So today, when we are together, let us make one strong resolution that we will bring prayer in our family, that we will teach our children to pray and pray with them. And you will see the joy and the love and the peace that will come into your hearts. Because the fruit of prayer is the deepening of faith. And the fruit of faith is love. And the fruit of love is service. And the fruit of service is peace. Works of love are works of peace. That is why let us bring the tender love of God in our families.
Submit your prayer intentions. Obtain Mass cards and a relic card at prayerintentions.org.